Assalamu alaikum and welcome once again to another episode of our show, Stairway to Paradise. Today's episode, inshallah, is about getting high. What makes people want to get high? That's the question we're addressing today with some special guests in the studio. You might be wondering, Stairway to Paradise, getting high, how can you put these two in the same sentence? Well, you'll find out in a moment, inshallah. But before we go there, let's see what people's answers were to the following question. What do you think makes people want to get high?
They want to take a break from everything.
I guess just to get away from everyday living and hectic situations, I guess.
They think it makes them happy.
I think to get away from reality.
Just to forget.
Bored. They're bored with their lives.
I'd say that getting high is the easiest way out.
I think it is a form, getting high is a form of escapism.
Because day-to-day life is not exactly enjoyable, and obviously you want to sort of get away from all that.
Okay, welcome back. We have Imam Sohaib here once again. Thank you for being on again with us. And Matthew Ingalls. And I'm happy we're here together because the last time we were together we did discuss a few different things, and we said we wanted to talk about this idea of getting high. Now before we get into it, the question that we asked people in the streets, those of them who spoke English in our non-English speaking country here, wherever you think it is, we'll leave you to guess. A lot of people write, where's the show from, where's the show from? It's a big mystery. And so, okay, we're in Egypt. Anyway, the question we asked everybody was basically, what, in your opinion, what do you think makes people want to get high? Those of them who do, of course. And a lot of them said things about escapism and not being able to face reality. They said different things, you know, the idea of just in general escaping and then having a lot of frustration in life, stress came up a lot. Having, you know, spoken about that, tying it with what we spoke about last time as well, what we can call a spiritual void within the human being, the product of which is an ecstasy, a feeling of happiness, a feeling of ease. In that context, getting high, how do you relate to this, being who you are, as we've introduced before, Imam Sohaib and Matthew?
I mean, I have some experience with that lifestyle, and I think that, yeah, I think of the three choices you just mentioned in the possible answers that people gave, escapism is the one I would put as either number one, or the other two are branches of that main purpose.
Okay.
But we could put, I mean, perhaps drug use is something that most societies know is wrong. Most, not, but almost all are like, if you do this and this drug, that's wrong. That's illegal.
Because of the effect of it that's so overt in the biological sphere, I think, yes, you're right, it's almost a unanimous thing in human culture, but like incest.
But I don't think that's, just because it's illegal in most countries doesn't make it any worse than what is legal and also used for escapism also. And there's some things that are even halal in themselves, we could say, but we still use them to escape. And it's all a continuum. And drug use, like heroin, something that can like really kill you almost instantly if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
That might be at one end of the continuum, but it's going to go back. Alcohol is clearly there. That in most countries in the world, even in the Islamic world, it's legal. It's going to go into watching television, which we could say television in itself is halal. Perhaps, depending on what you're watching, but just, you know, sitting in front of the television, that's escapism. Could even go into like reading books. Even
I want to interrupt you. I'm glad you said perhaps, because I mean, we said if it's permissible, if you're watching something halal, then obviously TV is halal, because otherwise, what are we doing here? Right. But anyway.
Right, so then it could even go into reading books. Maybe I do that. We all do escapism from time to time, unless you're, you know, unless you're like Imam Saab at the next level up. But
okay.
I think that it's all a question of, I mean, there's a lot of gray here, let's say that.
Okay. So now, Imam Sohaib, how do you relate to this as well? Now, what makes people want to get high?
I think, just if I could add something to what Maulana Matthew said.
Imam Saab Sohaib and then Maulana Matthew. Okay, well, what are you going to call me? Fred? Go on.
But honestly, I think there's nothing wrong with a form of escapism, as long as we weigh that according to the measurements of Sharia.
Okay.
If it's mubah, if it's makruh, if it's wajib, and so on and so forth. If it's, you know, forbidden completely, if it's allowable, if it's disliked. Definitely the Prophet ﷺ said, sa'atun wa sa'a. There's a time for this and a time for that.
Okay.
Rasul ﷺ used to watch the Sahaba wrestle in his masjid, and he was holding Aisha when the people from Habasha were wrestling.
And it's a permissible sport.
He raced her once.
Sallallahu alayhi wa
And he said,
sallam.
sabaqtini, sabaqtini, sabaqtini.
Yes.
You beat me, you beat me. Then later on, after he fed her for a while,
She got
alhamdulillah,
plumb.
he beat her.
And he said, هذه بتلك.
Naam.
This one's for that.
Naam.
Because it's all halal. You can enjoy yourself. Sallallahu
So
alayhi wa sallam.
the issue of escape is something sometimes people are scared, like, oh my gosh, here comes the imam, we can't have any fun. We can't do anything. I had a friend one time who was the imam of a masjid, and he played soccer with the people, and they wanted to fire him. This is not befitting a person
of an
imam's stature
right.
to play soccer. And he was like, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enabled us to thank Him more. Exhort the praises of Allah and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think first and foremost for the young people, I say, look, you should have fun. You should enjoy your life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with youth. And this is a noble time to thank Allah and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the talents that He's given you. But weigh those things according to what the Sharia has defined for us.
Okay.
So getting high, and back to that, returning back to getting high. My experiences with getting high prior to my Islam, of course, were very different in that I actually was very frightened of drugs. Even as number one, I was the DJ of the party, so I couldn't get too high or intoxicated.
The show won't go on.
It would be in big trouble. Then number two is that I, as Matthew and you also alluded to, just naturally I was just terrified of drugs. Just because of the whole mid-80s Nancy Reagan just say no campaign.
Right.
I was born, ولدت يعني في تلك الأيام. I was born in those days.
Okay.
Just frightened. And then also seeing people around me addicted to drugs. Seeing women do things for a rock the size of a kernel of corn. She would literally, with 6 or 7 different people, sell her body.
Just to get that.
And I saw this. So seeing people as abs of something which was definitely not perennial in existence scared me to death. So I actually refused to use drugs out of fear. Until it became like cool. I didn't feel any pressure, but it was like, when your nafs are taken over, you ride any channel that comes your way.
Okay.
So everyone around me now was getting, mad blended, as they used to say, smoking the chronic. And I just fell into it because of people were doing it.